Hi everybody, today is Monday, October 28th, 2019. It is 11:36 a.m., 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 degrees Celsius. I'm at 168th Street and Broadway in the New York City borough of Manhattan in front of the Columbia University Medical Center. This entire area actually has many buildings owned by Columbia University or affiliated with Columbia University. This is its northern campus. The main campus is at Morningside Heights, located at Broadway and 116th Street. But today I'll be taking you on a walk on Broadway to the neighborhood of Inwood, the northernmost neighborhood on the island of Manhattan. The northernmost neighborhood on Manhattan itself is Marble Hill, but it's actually connected to the mainland of the Bronx. This is the neighborhood of Washington Heights, named after President George Washington and the Fort Washington. Most people, when they think of Broadway, they immediately think of Times Square and the theater district, as well as areas like the Flatiron Building. They never really think of Upper Manhattan like this. This is a completely different side of Broadway in Manhattan. Over here it's much more residential, and you see a lot more different cultural differences. There's definitely a lot of impatient drivers here, I'll tell you that much. Here's a local restaurant, bar and grill, Coogan's, Irish. Someone's doing push-ups. There you see on the corner there's Columbia University Russ Berry Medical Science Pavilion. There's a deli across the street, Famous Familia Italian restaurant, Reme restaurant. Doesn't look like it's open anymore though. Here's a fruit and vegetable vendor. You can get a cantaloupe for $3, cucumbers 3 for $1, and corn 2 for $1. And I just passed the subway station entrance for the A and C trains at 168th Street. However, I do believe that the A and C trains are closed. Only the number 1 train is operating up here. I think they're doing an elevator replacement. It's supposed to wrap up sometime this year. There's a pretty big McDonald's on the corner. It's also open 24 hours, so it never closes. It's a two-way bicycle lane. Of course, no video of New York City is complete without scaffolding. They're even present in the parks. It's a retail space available if anybody's interested. Here's a bubble tea vendor, Kung Fu Tea. It's been a big chain place all around New York City. I'm sure many of you have noticed, but Manhattan is very, very hilly over here. The elevation is much different than the rest of the borough, especially Midtown and Lower Manhattan, where the elevation is relatively flat. But here there's rolling hills. That's also why Washington Heights, why it has its name, because it's such a high outcropping on the borough. That's why many of the Revolutionary War and American Revolution forts were built up here. There's a well-known park here called Fort Tryon Park. Fort Tryon being the name of one of the fortifications there. And there's also Fort Washington. After this neighborhood, well, I should say the neighborhood got its name from Fort Washington, which in turn got its name from George Washington. There's a hardware store. There's a lot of different businesses here than the regular chain retail stores that you'll see often in Midtown. Laundromats, Spanish eateries, clothing dealers, fashion design. Corner retail space available. And it seems this part of Broadway starts descending now. So I've officially entered the neighborhood of Hudson Heights. I do believe that Hudson Heights is a part of Washington Heights, just a subsection of it. But the Hudson Heights boundary is Broadway. To the left of here is Hudson Heights.
It fucking killed me today.
The George Washington Bridge is in the area, named after, you guessed it, George Washington. But that bridge connects Manhattan to the state of New Jersey, the neighborhood of Fort Lee. There's also a neighborhood above Washington Heights, which is called Fort George. So you can see there's a lot of relation to the history here with the elevation and all the names of the different areas. Someone's getting cited by the New York City Police Department, most likely for a traffic violation. There's a street fair going on over there. I'll tell you a little bit about the George Washington Bridge. It's the world's busiest motor bridge. There's no comparison to anywhere. It carried over 103 million vehicles per year in 2016. It's owned by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and some of its abbreviations include GWB, GW Bridge, or just the George. It was known as the Fort Lee Bridge or the Hudson River Bridge during its construction. Currently, the toll to cross the George Washington Bridge is $15 by cash. It's cheaper if you're carpooling or using Easy Pass. Wow, some brickwork being done there. There's a 99 cents and up store and a financial center. So this is 177th Street. This is the George Washington Bridge Market up ahead. I do know this area has undergone a lot of renovations and changes throughout the years. It's also a big transit hub, the George Washington Bridge Transit Center. You can catch many buses here going to many destinations in New Jersey. Here's some stunning pictures of the George Washington Bridge on the corner here. There's the George Washington Bridge itself in the distance. I rode my bicycle over the George Washington Bridge many times. You can check those videos out also. We have Spectrum, cable and internet here. Here's the George Washington Bridge bus station. And a Marshall store as well as the Gap factory store. There's also Citibank, Blink Fitness, and New York and Company is coming soon, according to that sign there. You can see this is a Monday morning and this area is bustling with activity. This place is open 24 hours, which isn't a bad idea for them because it's so close to the bus terminal. Here's a Subway fast food restaurant. More fruit and vegetable vendors. $2 for a bag of plantains, or maybe those are unripe bananas. Couldn't really tell. Here's some more fruits and vegetables. 5 lemons for 99 cents, 99 cents for a mango. They got persimmons, 5 persimmons for $1. That's kind of an unusual fruit to find in New York City. Most traditional markets will sell the usual oranges, apples, bananas, lemons, limes. But more exotic fruits like persimmons and dragon fruit and durian, sometimes you can get them in the specialty stores. Some more goods for sale here. Here's Citibank next to Apple Bank. Two-year CD at Apple Bank is 2.25%. That may change in next month depending on market conditions. So you may look back on this video and say, wow, 2.25% was actually a very good rate. I don't know. Here's a building that's being reconstructed or renovated or torn down. Can't really tell, but very, very big building at the corner of 181st Street and Broadway. Here's an office for Social Security. As you can see here, this section of Manhattan really drops down in elevation. Here's the 34th precinct of the New York City Police Department. Oh, I love how they decorated the police precinct. Do not cross this, right? Crime scene. I am going to cross over the other side of the street. Take a look at that elevation. And look at this one over here. This block here tells it all about the steepness of this area. There's a Latin fusion kitchen and bar across the street. And this building's a huge Staples. I think you could find any office supplies you need in this huge store. This block is even more steep than the other one. Someone did ask me one time why there aren't any gas stations in Manhattan. Well, that's because you're looking in the wrong place. All the gas stations in Manhattan are in the upper parts of the borough. But yeah, many of the gas stations are disappearing in Manhattan in general, because generally it's more profitable for the landlords to develop something on the property and operate as something other than a gas station. They can make more income by making it into an apartment building and renting out the units, or turning into retail space. Here's Police Officer Michael John Bugzek School, PS4. Here's 187th Street. And then the next block is 189th Street. We're skipping streets here. There's a Hispanic restaurant, La Cabana Salvadorera. Excuse me if I'm butchering that name, but it looks very delicious inside. Here's a parking lot $9 for 1 hour of parking. I have about 10 blocks to go until the neighborhood of Inwood. Which starts at Dyckman Street. It isn't numbered, but if it were, it would be 200th Street. I'll break this video up into two sections, one from Washington Heights and another one of Inwood. Here's Amelia Gorman Park. Has signs advising people that it's prohibited to enter due to its safety concerns. Now here's something that's really unique to Washington Heights. I made a video of this subway entrance before, calling it a creepy subway entrance. You can check that video out. But I'll just go into this subway tunnel for a little bit, just so you know what I'm talking about. It's pretty unique to a subway entrance in Manhattan. Here's Broadway and 190th Street, right? The subway entrance is 191st Street. So you see here, this subway entrance is pretty crazy. It's got artwork and it extends for a long time through here. Unfortunately, this subway entrance has been vandalized by graffiti artists. Or graffiti vandals, depending on how you see it. But yeah, that's enough of this subway entrance. If you want to see the whole thing, then you can check out my other video. Someone even tagged up the plaque saying what the area is. A real shame. Okay, let's continue on this walk of Broadway. Definitely a lot of construction here, that's for sure. La Cantina Heights. They have a sign on the front of the restaurant that says the use of the bathrooms limited to customers only. Restrooms are a big issue in New York City in general, or public restrooms. It's generally better to just patronize a business in order to use the restroom if you're really desperate. But you can find restrooms a lot in public libraries. The parks I wouldn't recommend because they can be very dirty at times. You can find them in department stores. You can find them in hospitals if they're available. And also police precincts are obligated to let you use the restroom if you ask. Looks like a supermarket's coming soon. Shop Fair Fresh. Not a bad idea for the neighborhood because I didn't really notice any other supermarket here. There's a lot of residences across the street, so I'm glad that I think they'll be glad that a supermarket's coming. Here's 193rd Street. If you want to work out walking in New York City, come to Washington Heights and walk the streets because there's a lot of hills here. So Broadway continues to the left. I need to do some precise street crossing here in order to get there. Now I have to play the game of which crosswalk to take first because I could take either one. I think this one may be it. And my battery ran out, but I'll replace it after I cross the street. Okay, across the street, Broadway and Bennett Avenue. Let's finish this walk. I'm only a few blocks from the border of Inwood. About 6 blocks. The park directly to my left is Fort Tryon Park, one of my favorite parks in New York City. I did do a video of Fort Tryon Park as well if you'd like to see that one. Has a lot of interesting sights such as the Cloisters Museum, as well as a very beautiful flower garden called the Heather Garden. Also the Billings Mansion is there. It's a popular place to do photo shoots. Very good.
Somebody in the eye. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
Across the street is an intermediate school. Salome, can't really see it from this angle. Salome Urana, IS 218. Take a look at this tree here. Has a lot of different berries growing on it. Or maybe those are flowers. No, those are berries. Wonder if they're edible. You can see a lot of the leaves are blowing away now. Maybe once I get to Inwood, I'll do a walk of Inwood Hill Park as well. This huge building across the street looks very abandoned. The letters at the top of the building says Packard. Not really sure what Packard is supposed to represent. Here's another entrance to ⁴ Park with the stairs to the cloisters in the background. The cloisters is a branch of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. If you come here and you buy a ticket to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, you'll also get a ticket to the cloisters since they're the same branch of museum. You also get a ticket to the Met Broadway as well, located on Madison Avenue. The Met Broadway features a lot of contemporary art. The Cloisters features a lot of religious art and medieval art. It is getting a little bit chilly now. Seems like the temperature dropped a little bit since I started this walk. I am checking my weather app on my phone though. It says it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit and 17 degrees Celsius. So about the same, but I guess it's just the wind chill now. It's making me very cold. I can see Dyckman Street in the background and the neighborhood of Inwood. This neighborhood is definitely a lot different than the rest of Manhattan. I'm gonna walk to the border and then start a new video. But I hope you enjoy this walk of me through Washington Heights all the way to the border of Inwood. You got to see many different businesses and that creepy subway entrance again. Or artistic, depending on how you look at it. I think it's kind of cool. But I know that it wasn't really maintained too well during the 80s and the 70s. And it had a lot of dim lighting. It wasn't until recently that the city started taking care of it more. But anyway, if you want to see me walk through the neighborhood of Inwood, I'll have it in a separate video. But be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below and like this video if you did. I'll catch you all next time. Take it easy, everyone.